Today on Hobby Token Anime, let's talk about another D&D topic, and that is the D&D cartoon, because that's the next important thing after talking about the basics of D&D Basic and Advanced. Let's talk about the cartoon, because this cartoon might be one of the better 80s cartoons in the early years of Saturday morning toy commercials. What is that? That I will explain in a moment. Now, this is the comment presenting another edition of me talking about D&D. Quarter D comment. Time for another edition of Hobby Toku Anime, where we talk about hobby today, and we're going to talk about the D&D cartoon because it's one of the more important D&D Saturday morning cartoons, because it was made after Ronald Reagan was like, "Hey, let's make the rules less dangerous with freaking Top Wheels." But that's another story for another day, which I might do. Time will tell. But anyhow, the point is, Saturday morning shows were a popular thing we used to call back from the 60s to the 2010s. And this was a tradition every kid cared for. I have to explain that because they don't do it as like a mainstream hobby thing anymore. So you don't know that if you're younger viewers at home. I'm just explaining it for the little kids or the future people who look at this in future videos. Got that? Good. Let's begin with talking about the D&D cartoon. It was basically the D&D adaptation, but there are some weird things which we will talk about. First, let's start with the opening. Yes, if you grew up in my time, you remember an alternate version of the opening that was more of a theme song version. But if you grew up in the 80s, you also saw another version, which you see on home video releases and DVD releases, and that goes something like this. Let's go to the Dungeons and Dragons ride. And it's basically them going to a theme park, going on a ride. Yes, that's the springboard of them getting into a ride and getting transported to another dimension. That's the whole plot of the show. I am not kidding, but that's kind of a good series premise. But anyhow, the point is they meet a unicorn, they count on the main villain Avenger. They're like introducing everyone's class as like an intro, and it's like, hello, ranger, thief, barbarian, magician. Yes, magician is basically a class, but it's more of illusionist is the official term or whatever, which is like a shittier version of the wizard. I'm not kidding. Google it. It's weird, but anyhow, cavalier, which is also the rich kid character and main douchebag of the show. Basically, he's great, but the point of that made it weird is Cavalier is a class, but it's like a different version of the Paladin, which the Paladin's the main version now we all know of, but the Cavalier was like the shield version of a Paladin that does more spells than the Paladin being sword and shield and spells. This is more like, I just want to do spell casting and shielding, which is kind of stupid, but kind of great. And also the Acrobat, which is like a thief rogue hybrid class back when D&D used to do hybrid classes, which is kind of like a thing they did for proto basic and proto D&D and basic, if that makes any sense, but kind of confusing, but let me not explain. That's another story. Basically, this cartoon is really good, great, and just to know, the main mascot of D&D that they brought that's only in the cartoon, like some of the references are kind of like vague for D&D because this is early D&D where really have a few references, but the main one is Tiamat. Yes, D&D's most badass five-headed dragon that's basically one of every of the 5 evil chromatic colors, which I'll now explain. Red, blue, green, black, white. These colors form the ultimate dragon. Represent the greatest, the leader of evil dragons, Tiamat, or some other name, which we'll get into for the Dragonlance episode, which kind of will be in a little bit more in a few videos. But anyhow, the point is, Tiamat is really the only returning D&D reference that they do in the show. Rest are just gameplay elements or certain jokes about writing, which I will great. And basically, the whole plot of the episodes are like they're basically kids find a way to get home. They do adventure hijinks. Count villain. Villain's like, haha, I defeated you with a twist, and they get back to the world and not get home, sacrificing their ways to stop the villain. And repeat. This show is really basic, but I will just do one spotlight for every character. Okay? Main character. Well, there was a season 2 episode. Yes. The show split into 9 episodes for 3 seasons, so 27 episodes, but really 26, which we will get into. But the point is, Ranger's main episode is basically about him getting disappointed at the villain. Avenger is losing their ways every single time. It's like, I want to kill him now because he's destroyed our ways like 15 times already in the series. And maybe 16 with this episode start. But anyhow, point is I'm disappointed. And then the 5th episode really didn't get character development. The acrobat, which, fun fact, was the first female young black woman in Saturday morning television history. The more you know. Sorry. But the point is, she was the first black woman that was a little kid. Before this, it was either a teen or young adult, but never like a full-on kid. Yes, I am not kidding. Okay, there are a few characters from Josie and Pussycats that are teenage girls, but they're not full-on black girl who is teen phase, but this is more like young adult, like pre-teen, which kind of makes her the youngest of that era, but anyhow, a fun fact. Then also, the Cavalier character has an episode where he gets disappointed with Dungeon Master, and yes, if you haven't seen the show, their metaphor for Dungeon Master is the show's exposition character. I'm not kidding. That's kind of funny, but great. But in this episode, basically the Dungeon Master is like, well, think you could do it better? I'm going to switch places with you for the episode, and I'm just leaving with no name. Bye! Then the end of the episode's like, you learned your lesson. You suck at DMing, so I'm going to be DM again. Now you're back as a Cavalier. And you're now lower level because you're an idiot. Bye! Sorry, that was a joke. But anyhow, also the magician, which is like the first episode, and his name is Presto. Yes, every other character's names are Hank and a few other characters, but their names are normal. But why Presto is named Presto instead of his actual name, which is kind of like a joke? Because he sucks at his magic skills. Is basically, let me grab something out of my hat. Roar! Nope. I need something to stop it. Okay, a stop sign. That's the closest thing we can do. Stop! Oh god, this is a fantasy setting. Fuck. Sorry, that's the joke. But anyhow, also the kid. The kid character, Billy or William, I forget his name, but I think it's Billy. But the point is, he's your basic kid. Jimmy. He's your basic kid, little kid who has a pet unicorn named Uni, who's also in an episode basically having the unicorn return to a family, then leave after all of them die in mass genocide. Weird. And also there's an episode where freaking Nazis show up. Yes, a Nazi guy gets confused of what the heck is going on and does something weird stuff, but it comes back thinking it's a dream. Having a fever dream. That's like the whole joke. Weird episode, but great. And also the finale, which isn't the finale, where basically the kid reunites with one of his old friends from school, and it's like, wow, there are other people besides us to get transported, and basically they help them get home, and it ends with the kid meeting our barbarian character back when the young is, but really it's a flashback exposition. And that's how it ends. Or sort of. Because this show originally was going to end with Avenger becoming a good guy, which kind of makes sense for a show, but it's kind of stupid for because it was going to be a shake-up plot where you replace some of the characters with other characters. It's like a status quo shake-up, but that never happened, so that's not canon, but that's a weird fact. Anyhow, this cartoon is kind of cheesy, but it's one of the more examples of D&D back in the 80s, so yeah, it's okay, but it's not good. Just a note. This is Come saying bye-bye, and I hope you like D&D, because next time we're going to talk about the most controversial thing about D&D in the 80s, the freaking, I'm not kidding, the Christian controversy of D&D. That's next time. And now officially bye-bye for now.